Okay, let's talk about the two big glaring issues. One is I think that Ellie in season one, the actress was good, but putting her as a more mature adult Ellie, I don't know if it was the writing, I don't know if it was her, the material or her, but this season she felt really out of place playing the role, in my opinion,
Oh,
because there's a lot of stuff in this that now if it's a big scene, she does great in the big action scenes. But when it's more intimate and which of this season had a lot of those in it, had a lot of big action scenes where she could emote on screen, she done really fine. But the more intimate scenes, I think, were very lacking with her. And again, I don't know if it was the writing or just her presence. She came off really bad, in my opinion, in the more intimate scenes.
yeah. So I had heard a lot of the criticism prior to going in and watching the season about um, her portrayal of Ellie. And of course, there was a lot of unfounded, I think, like really just stupid criticism that was, kind of hurled at her because of her appearance. My goodness, I don't think you can avoid any memes. I wrote some stuff because I typed some stuff out about.
Did you make memes?
I didn't make any memes. I just wrote
Oh,
down my
okay.
thoughts tonight, and I had 3 memes pop up on Facebook about Ellie tonight, and I was like, I don't see these at all. But of course, that's the algorithm watching me. But
Just remember, when you use ChatGPT, you're just feeding the algorithm.
uh,
And Jesse likes glutton.
oh my goodness, Skynet, and me, just like this.
Yep.
Um, so anyway, so I knew about the criticism. I knew what was being lobbied, and I went into this thinking it was going to be horrible. I wasn't. I There wasn't anything that really completely took me out. I can see where you're coming from, Teasley, in regards to the more intimate moments, the more still moments where she's kind of reflecting. The scene that kind of comes to my mind right now is her on stage, on that stage with that guitar in her hand.
Mhm.
Granted, there's not, she kind of picks it up, and you understand why she kind of puts it back down, but you can't really see on her face how sad she is. You just kind of get the idea. Okay, yeah, she's feeling sad, and just by looking at her actions. When she watches Joel die, different story. That's a big. You could tell that she is being, she's emoting that she is being ripped apart, watching, her
Yeah.
father figure get killed in front of her. So, again, very uneven. I kind of agree with you there. As far as Ellie goes, the character, oh my gosh, was she hard to sympathize with. That's probably the best way to put it.
She's very watered down compared to the game. This is
Oh,
a
really?
very watered. Oh yeah, she in the game. She is very vengeful. She is very. She is very, very, very vengeful. She has this hatred that is very comes across, and it comes across the screen, and that's why the mocap and everything for the game is so. If you get a chance, get some free time, watch the cinematography from Last of Us 2, and you just see how good, and you'll see the very stark differences of what we got on the TV show versus the game. The game she is the game she pulls at your heartstrings. You
Wow.
feel for her and everything, and it's very hard. I mean, because it's all mocap, and but like the graphics and the way that she emotes in the game, you're like, wow, how's this a game? How am I connecting with this in a video game? And then you see it on screen, and it's like I just don't. There's a disconnect. yeah, okay, you're sad. Boo hoo. Move on. But in the game, you see the same scenes, some of the same scenes, and you're like, man, I'm gravitating toward this.
So you probably are having an easier time understanding why she is doing what she's doing in the game. And for the
Oh,
show,
God, yeah.
yeah, for the show, I'm just like, this girl's making dumb decision after dumb decision after dumb decision. And
And
I cannot find
you
any
see a lot of Abby too.
Okay. Yeah, I remember hearing a little bit about that.
Yeah, and you know, watching the game, the Abby thing, and it adds to it because you get to see why Abby's the way she is as well. Because you play through,
You have to
there's
play her.
sections you play as Abby,
Right.
and yeah, so you get her perspective, and it's like, and it just, and you're like, because you know, you come out, you loathe Abby because
Mhm.
she kills Joel. You'll loathe it. But as you play through the game, you start kind of that moral compass starts shifting to be like, was Abby right? And as you're playing, you wonder what side of the fence do I fall on in this, because there's no right side. There's a side you're portrayed to feel, and then there's a side that you're persuaded to feel. And it's like it's really, it brings it into a real conundrum that you're kind of like the end of season one. You're in that moral. You're like, okay, she killed him brutally, but I get it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it.
Right. I'm
And
just
you see how bad Ellie is not a great person.
Right. I'm
because
curious
of what she goes through.
I want to know, because I know in the game you are a lot of the mechanic is you got to make a choice, right? Like you make choices of, okay. So the one thing that drove me, like, just made me go, oh my gosh, I cannot stand this Ellie character right now, is the moment she shoots the guy and the bullet goes through him and hits the pregnant lady in the neck. She's lying on the ground, bleeding to death, and she's like, save my baby. Grab a knife, cut me open, take my baby out. And Ellie has this knife and she's about to do it. So I got to know, is that in the game at all?
I don't remember it in the game.
Okay.
It might be, but it's been a while since I've actually played it.
I was wondering
I know a lot of the big things, but yeah, I can't remember if it's in there or not. I have to. And this is it's something that Mackenzie's actually, I turned her on to playing Last of Us. She's playing through all the Resident Evil 9s, which I'm so excited that there's a new Resident Evil coming out in February. She's playing like Death by Daylight. She's in that suspenseful horror genre. So, and she's playing through it, and the first Last of Us she loved. I don't think she's played. She started playing Last of Us 2, but I don't think she's played a whole lot of it. But she's talked to me about. So me and her might go sit through and watch a playthrough or something one day when I'm doing homework or something, and we can watch through it. And if I do, which will probably be sometime this week, if you haven't figured it out, I'll watch a playthrough and let you know.
Yeah, I mean that moment in the show, she accidentally kills the mother of this unborn child. The mother is pleading, please, save my baby. And now, granted, look, we know what probably at this moment, is she going to save this baby or is she going to get her revenge? She doesn't do anything with it. She lets the baby die. I mean, just doesn't cut her open and lays the knife down. And you're just like, okay,
well,
all right.
I think part of that was also shock. I mean, Ellie knows a little bit about first aid and everything, but I don't think she's ever done anything to the level of cut open, and remove a fetus. So part of that, I think it was you want me to do what and what and what?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you also got to look at the external factors. What does babies typically do? What?
Cry.
They cry.
That's right.
So that sound can alert our mushroom.
The portobellos.
The portobellos.
Could get the mushroom mafia after us, and and that puts your life in danger. So you also have that moral dilemma of do you save the baby and risk dying yourself, or
Right.
And speaking of babies, let's go. This is hold on. I'm getting my soapbox.
All right.
I'm stretching out here. I'm climbing up on the soapbox. That was the most retarded, unethical, stupid thing that they could have put in this series. Her saying Ellie saying I'm going to be a father. After one night with a girl, it's mind blowing. I want to know how you guys feel, especially you, Alexis. Me and you differ a lot politically, but we respect each other. So I do want to hear your take on that.
I was okay with it because Dina had more or less made it clear that she wanted a life with Ellie and the baby. She didn't want to go back to Jesse, and I'll admit, I also think that made Jesse's death a little bit more tragic. He probably didn't know that. He thought he was probably going to have more of a life with this baby, even if he knew that Dina didn't love him anymore. He was like, I'm still going to be a father, and I want to be a father, and I want to be a good father. So I also know that the actress Bella Ramsey is non-binary. And this was why it was kind of hard to read a lot of criticisms about her acting and her portrayal in this, because every time because I'll agree with you, there were parts of it I didn't really appreciate, but every time I tried to read something, it was filled with all this crap against her for her looks, for her sexuality, for her decision to be, her being classified as non-binary. And I was like, oh my God, people, I don't freaking care about that. And it's like, and I don't care, what this actress identifies as, that's none of my prerogative. It's like, okay, that's what she wants to be, whatever. Sure. And I think that they did throw that line in there because she is non-binary. So it didn't really bother me that much since Dina had made it clear that that was her decision. She wanted Ellie to essentially be the other parent. So in any other situation, I could see it coming across as kind of stupid, but I felt that they worked it in well enough. I was okay with it.
But this is my issue. I think that if they would have kept it without that line, I think you don't alienate part of your audience, because, like I said, I don't care what people do. There's agendas that I don't appreciate, that I don't agree with, but I thought it was more of a forced line than something coming off naturally. If it would have just been a more natural thing, and her being a part of the baby's life, I think it's just one of those things that was thrown in there to appease people, rather than because that took a lot. Not only myself, I know that it took a lot of people. In a different light to the show overall. Now, I sympathize with her. I'm not saying she's a great actress. She does do a lot. This goes back to I don't know if it was her acting or the material, but there were some things on screen when she has to emote, when she has to have those big dramatic moments. I think she does phenomenal. But when you do read about it, I think a lot of people take real world things and apply it to this fantasy world, and that's a lot of criticism. And I think that it goes the other way, where you're taking something in the real world and applying it to this for the option of shoehorning it in and trying to make something that people accept in the real world, put it into a specific IP. A phenomenal thing we have a group chat that is we like to poke the bear on each other sometimes. but we also make fun of external things. Perfect example is the fact that Black Panther is now white in a multiverse. It's catching a lot of backlash when people don't know the context behind it. They just see the headline and don't know the context. Um, so I think that
I would say that's why I commented on there. It's like, yeah, gee, just like when Captain America said "Hail Hydra," and that Jesse, remember when that came out, and there was all these articles about people burning their comic books. It's like Marvel is dead to me.
Hey,
and it's like,
hey, I have that first issue.
Yeah, and I remember
they don't read it.
Said that like 200 times in various issues. He's been brainwashed, or he's faking it, or he's undercover, or something.
Yeah,
but I think that's she catches a lot of flack for her real life. She's catching a lot of flack for her real life, but it's bleeding over into the show, and I think that's a lot of negativity. And we all know negative fandom. Jesse, you're probably you two are probably more adamant about it than mine because Alexis, you see it at Comic Cons. Jesse, you see it because you're heavily invested in comic books and stuff. I see it from a sports standpoint, but toxic fandom is the bane of existence.
Mm-hmm.
They'll rip something down, a beloved IP down, simply because of your personal political views, and I'm not saying that that is unwarranted. I'm not saying it either way, but I think a lot of negativity comes from when when you could get the same get a better reaction without shoehorning something in versus trying to shoehorn something like that in, because I feel if they would have just made it more about the you could just take that one line out and made it more about the caring connection.
So you would have been
have a lot.
You would have
this
been
season
more
would have had a lot less. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying you would have been more okay if the line had been, "We're going to be parents."
Well, they wouldn't even have to do that. You could have just emoted, and this could have been a very key point of giving her the opportunity to emote in a very intimate thing, and just have her just express joy of being of this moment of sharing that moment. You didn't have to have the line, and I think that one line kind of poisons the entire IP this season. Because I've seen that. Because a lot of stuff you read online, I've read 5 articles a day since I knew I was going to be on. Just while I was driving, I was listening to some. I just had it playing and stuff. Every one of them mentions that specific moment of this took me out of the series. This poisoned the series for me. Wow. This had a negative condensation. This one line damaged the entire season.
I did not get any of that. Didn't have that much of a visceral reaction to it. That's for sure. I think when she said it, Ellie had been saying stupid stuff all season. I mean, that's kind of what she's 19, right? She's 19 now.
Yeah.
She doesn't, the main thrust of this series is that she doesn't know what in the world she's getting into. She doesn't understand the world. She just wants to go out and, she wants to make her mark. She's a little bit, as we like to say here, too big for her britches. That's what you say, Teasley. She's a little too big for her britches. She runs off at the mouth. So that whole line, the way it was delivered to me, I was just like, well, okay, she obviously identifies, as they're a gay couple, I guess, and she identifies as the man of the family. So it just, whatever. I just chalked it up to like Ellie's, saying something stupid again. So let's go on. Yeah, we're going to be a father. All right, great. Pretty.
I think if they was going to write something into the show from real life, I wish they would have wrote her being on the spectrum into this. I think that because that way, when she does do something that's socially awkward and stuff, you understand it.
Okay.
And that's something, and I think that that's you don't see a lot of it in shows. I think this would have been a great thing because one, you're navigating through a world that is pretty much a survival. Two, the representation of that, and the fact that I don't know if it's been confirmed. Unless you could say that it's been confirmed. I know that it's rumored that she's on the spectrum in real life. But if they would have wrote it that way, and you could have had so much, I think that would have helped lessen the blow of that, of her portrayal. Because if she is on the spectrum, great for it. I mean, she's at a major IP, and being having that it shows that it's not a disability. You can work through it and still be successful in life. But setting that up, if you would have played into that as from a real life standpoint, I think that would have been great because she is very smart. But she is very socially awkward. I mean, we all have that social awkwardness. Not saying that we're all on the spectrum, but I mean, a lot. I mean, but we all are socially awkward. If we're in a big group situation, I think all of us on the RAB, we kind of don't like the spotlight. We do podcasts, we do talk, we do catch a lot of hate, some more than others. But we also we put ourselves out there because we like to talk about certain IPs. We like to talk to each other, and we like that intimate conversation. But if you was to put us out, if you took all of us and put us in a room, there would be awkwardness. Even though we've known each other for years upon years, we would all be awkward around each other. Because Jesse would probably have his hand on my ass, but that's a whole different story.
I can't help myself.
Yeah, I know. It's like patting a board back there. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, even when I met Mark, it was kind of I've known Mark almost 15 years, but it was still kind of when I first met Mark, it was kind of the first 20, 30 minutes was really awkward for us, even though me and him being online through text messages and stuff, me and Mark are really close. But being in front of somebody and meeting them, I can even remember when I first met Jesse at a remix show. It was, it was one of those things that, hey, I know you, but I don't really, I could tell you anything about your family, but to sit and have a conversation, and having a person-to-person conversation in the day of the internet is tough anyways.
It's true.
No, I know what you mean. First time I met Mark, I went to work a show down in Tampa, and he came to my table, and I was just like, okay, this is weird. And I still remember
what do I do now?
I still remember the only thing I remembered about that was telling myself, okay, now I need to get a picture of me punching his lights out to send that to the rest of the guys.
Yeah.
Because I knew you would all love that.
So yeah, I mean, I think we need that more representation in some shows too, because I think that's a community that doesn't get the representation that they deserve. Because there's some really great actors out there that aren't publicly on the spectrum, but everybody kind of assumes, and they are phenomenal actors. And everybody talks about representation, but some of the biggest, community that loves these video games and stuff aren't being properly represented. And I know that's weird coming from me. See, voice of reason, whole new leaf.